celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. Here's Gerald Salenti with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Friday, February 14th, 2020. Happy Valentine's Day. So, what's going on? Well, over there in Asia, the Nikkei was down, but Shanghai and Hang Seng hung a little higher, even though coronavirus was still out there, spreading its wings and killing more people. But you know the way we look at it, we don't think this is a global crisis, and the numbers aren't adding up that big, but we'll see what happens. Over there in Europe, the markets were down a little bit. Over here in the States, they were up a little bit. Gold, bop-a-beep-bop-bop, over $1,580 an ounce. And oil bounced back because the coronavirus fears are easing a little bit. And that Bitcoin's still over $10,000 a coin. I mean, when you bought this stuff for nothing, this stuff's worth a lot of dough right now. And we're going to be talking about something to show that it's going to keep moving higher because there's a trend in place. Stocks close a little changed, but post a gain for the week. The major averages hit their session lows around midday. They later recovered after CNBC reported the White House is considering tax incentives for people in the U.S. to buy stocks. You know what that is. Bullshit. You got it. People buying stocks. They don't have $400 in case of an emergency. 1 in 3 people, according to the data that just came out this week, are living from paycheck to paycheck. What stocks? Oh, they're going to boost the equity markets up? Anyway, what else do we have? Core retail sales, which exclude autos, gas, building materials, and food services, were unchanged last month. The department added clothing store sales had their biggest one-month decline since 2009. You know why? The coronavirus. Everybody in America was scared to go buy stuff. Nah, it's down because income is down. All the doughs at the top, you know the story. Oil prices rose on Friday, first weekly gain since early January, as investors bet the economic impact of the coronavirus would be short-lived. Woo! Hey, they're saying what we've been saying since this happened. Changing their tune a little bit, huh? So Brent has fallen 15% since the beginning of the year, in part due to worries that the coronavirus outbreak would stunt the global economy. More than 1,380 people died of the virus in China, out of a population of 1.4 billion. Not a lot of people, and according to the reports, the chronically ill and the very elderly. International Energy Agency said first quarter oil demand was set to fall versus a year earlier for the first time since the financial crisis in 2009. You know why? Because of the coronavirus. Because there's a global slowdown. Gold prices rose to the highest in more than 1 week on Friday and posted a weekly gain as investors bet on safe haven metal to hedge against the economic impact of coronavirus. Further supporting gold's rise, U.S. Treasury yields declined after soft retail sales data. Yeah. And again, the soft retail sales data has zero to do with coronavirus. U.S. consumer spending appears to have slowed further in January, which raises concerns about the economy's ability to continue expanding at a moderate pace. They're going to lower interest rates. By November, we'll have them at 0 to negative. That's my forecast, because all around the world, it's a slowdown. Factory output falls, hits Eurozone recovery. Factory output in the single currency zone slid 2.3% in December. In the year to December, industrial production was down 4.3%. It's the weakest performance since the region's sovereign debt crisis in 2012. Has nothing to do with the coronavirus. This is before that. There's a global slowdown. That's why people are going into gold, because they're going to keep pumping more cheap money into it to keep boosting it up. Oh, don't forget, Trump is going to give you a tax break so you could buy stocks and you could become a gambler in the market, so you get in just when it's going to go down big time. And what else do we have here? The fixed income strategist at AMRO predicted that the Eurozone Central Bank would cut rates further into negative territory and increase the size of bond buying program as early as next month. Again, more and more of this information in your Trends Journal. The weekly Trends Journal, there's no other magazine like it in the world. What's going on, what it means, and what's next. And you got it. Coronavirus spells trouble for Chinese banks. A prolonged crisis in which factories and shops are unable to do business, with as much as 6 trillion renminbis in new bad debt for lenders troubling non-performing loans, according to S&P Global Ratings. Bad debt across the banking system could rise from less than 2% at the end of last year to 6.3% of the total assets, the S&P research shows, a level not seen for 2 decades. Many small banks are in deep trouble and have bad debt rates exceeding 40% of their total loan books. 40% bad loans. Now, a lot of these loans are in dollars. The Chinese economy is having a problem. They're dumping in cheap money. They're going to lower interest rates. Their currency goes lower. The debt is in dollars. They got to pay it back with more money. So, not a good thing over there going on in China. Chinese exports hit as world supply chains suffer. They go on to say what's going to happen. Deutsche Bank forecasts that due to current coronavirus, Chinese growth will be 1.5 percentage points lower in the first quarter. And what else do they have here? Chinese demand is set to weaken as shoppers stay home and services remain closed. This has a global repercussion as the country accounts for, you ready for this? 11% of the world's imports of goods, up from 2.7% 20 years ago, before Slick Willie Clinton brought them into the World Trade Organization. Again, much more data will be in your Trends Journal, what it means, what's going on, and what's next. Euro drops to weakest level in almost 3 years as poor economic data weighs. Worries about the spread of coronavirus have boosted the dollar, a haven for investors. The dollar has been the strongest performing G10 currency so far in 2020. But the reason the euro is losing its value is because of the data going on before the coronavirus. And nothing to do with the coronavirus. The Bank of Mexico cut interest rates Thursday in the first monetary policy meeting of the year. The Board of Governors voted unanimously to lower the overnight interest rate target to 7% from 7.25%, the fifth consecutive quarter percentage point reduction. The fifth, nothing to do with the coronavirus. It's a global slowdown, more cheap dough. And what else do we have here? I said about Bitcoin, and there was something very important going on here. This isn't being reported. Most people don't know about this. Patents lay bare scale of Chinese ambition to digitize the renminbi. The People's Bank of China has filed more than 80 patents related to its secretive plans to launch a digital currency. The cachet of patents verified include proposals to issue a supply of central bank digital currency, a system for interbank settlements that uses the currencies and the integration of digital currency wallets into existing retail bank accounts. And this will give the Chinese bank having full oversight of users' transactions. This is big. They're going digital. We've been writing about this in the Trends Journal now for 3 years. They'll know every penny that you spent. And they could keep printing up this digital money, printed on nothing and backed by nothing. It is the future. The new digital currencies to replace the failing currencies. They'll give it a new name, wipe out the debt from the old one, and now they're following you everywhere as you pay with your app. What have we been writing about? That they don't care about in America? You know, that 5G technology that goes into your brain, the radio frequency radiation? Switzerland halts 5G rollout over health concerns. Don't worry about it. Again, my parents' generation, they all smoked cigarettes. There was nothing to worry about. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. And those slimy little lowlives in the tobacco industry were lying to Congress about there's no research that shows that this stuff kills you, going back into the late 90s. Not 1890s, 1990s. And on to some other news. Newspaper group McClatchy files for bankruptcy. Miami Herald parent set to become largest publisher under hedge fund control. The hedge funds are taking over all these newspapers. They're all dying. There's a line here from the Financial Times. It would leave two of the largest newspaper owners in the U.S., Tribune Publishing and McClatchy, at the behest of hedge funds, and one of them, Alden Global Capital, a hedge fund whose cost-cutting has earned it the reputation of a vulture, recently increased its stake in the Tribune. Local newspapers across the United States have been in crisis, blah, 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 blah. More than 1,800 local newspapers have shut across the U.S. in the past 15 years. And that's why you subscribe to the Trends Journal, because it's gone. You're getting garbage out there. Matter of fact, we heard from Charlie Munger, who's newspaper company executive as well as Berkshire Hathaway's vice chairman, said U.S. newspapers have no future. Technological change is destroying the daily newspapers in America, said Munger, 96 years old. He went on to say, the revenue goes away and the expenses remain and they're dying. They're all going to die, Munger said. It's a sad thing. He named some exceptions, saying the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal are likely to survive. He also went on to say, I think how different television is. Walter Cronkite is gone. We have all these clowns on the opinion service lying to us, and they're really good at it. Their ability to mislead people is greatly underestimated. Not greatly underestimated by the people that tune into Trends in the News. Not greatly underestimated by the people that subscribe to the Trends Journal, Mr. Munger. They know it's all bullshit. You got it. We've been calling them out. Go on. Look up the name, Munger. Prostitutes. Yeah. Who came up with the term? It's there. Gerald Celente. You're not telling us anything new. The whole thing is going down, and the morons that watch that stuff deserve what they get. And don't forget to go out for a Big Mac after you watch it on Fox or CNBC. Yeah, and wash it down with a Coke. Nah, not that kind of Coke, maybe a Pepsi. Senate defies Trump on Iran. They passed a resolution that can't go kill anybody he wants in Iran. And they went out and they said McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader. Can you imagine calling these guys majority leaders? This little piece of garbage crap, McConnell. A little piece of shit, Majority Leader. I forgot the Minority Leader, but a little Chucky Schumer. They're all crap to me. Anyway, he went on to say that this is not a time to show weakness. And Trump went on to say that this isn't a good thing to do, showing our weakness. Assassinating people illegally around the world. But the resolution means nothing. It's not going to get a Senate majority in the sense that when Trump vetoes it, they won't have a 2/3 vote to override it. It will happen in the House because they have a Democratic majority. But the resolution means nothing anyway. More moita in the first degree. But President Trump says, U.S. Taliban near deal. We shouldn't be there. It's time to come home, Mr. Trump said. Well, I agree. Time to come home. Never should have been there in the first place. Accomplished nothing other than destroying a country and getting people to really hate you. Oh, they're militants. They're militants. You go in their country, you kill everybody that they love, destroy the place, occupy it for almost 20 years, and the people that want to fight you back to get you the hell out of there, oh, they're militants. Oh, they're terrorists. They killed American soldiers. Can't understand why. And what else do we have here? Pakistan. Leaders move to rein in social media under the new rules passed in Pakistan. Government media companies must remove content Pakistani authorities deem questionable. Oh, yeah, questionable. They deem it questionable, it must be questionable. Oh, going back to the Charlie Munger story about the newspapers, they're so damn stupid. I remember when they did this back in the 90s. They started giving all the information for free on the internet. That's how stupid they were. And that's what helped kill the newspaper business. But moving forward, U.S.-led patrol in Syria takes fire. The U.S.-led patrol came under fire in northern Syria after a confrontation with pro-Syria troops. Pro-Syria troops. The United States is illegally in the country, and they're pro-Syrian troops trying to get them the hell out of there. The propaganda is disgusting. And people, by the way, surrounded the American troops telling them to get the hell out. Oh, that little boy Guaido, that all those Democrats and Repulsivkins, he went back to, they all applauded. And how disgustingly Trump brought into our House of Representatives this little boy of nothing. The Venezuelan Obama they're trying to promote this guy as. So he goes back to Venezuela. Oh, and he had a big rally. You know how many people showed up? Around 100. This guy's worth nothing. And to bring him into the United States House of Representatives in Trump's State of the Union address, again, as I mentioned this before, is a total disgrace. So, what do we have here? Guaido stood with a few hundred supporters in a plaza, an opposition stronghold in eastern Caracas, and declared victory. But he offered no plan to remove Mr. Maduro. And despite, and there it goes, since this all happened, despite United States' use of crippling sanctions to hurt the country's economy and try to force the ouster of Mr. Maduro, Mr. Guaido has not managed to seize power and call new presidential elections his stated goal. Despite United States' crippling sanctions, isn't that nice? Economic warfare, crippling sanctions against a country that's done nothing to us. Nothing. I don't like their leader. I want him out of there. Yeah, mind your own damn business. No foreign entanglements. And who's suffering? The people. Do you think the people at the top of government are suffering? They're getting all they want. The average person is suffering because of these criminal acts brought to you by the Democrats and Repulsivkins. They all applaud for it. That's my applaud to you. And what else do we have here? Mental health requests strain employers. Young adults between the ages of 18 to 25 have highest prevalence of serious mental illness among all age groups. This is according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Students in the U.S., blah, blah, blah. This goes on to say how many corporations, the problems that people are having working there, complaining about mental health problems. So I started thinking about this. Can these mental health problems happen because when a child is born, and 6 weeks after birth, the parents ship the kid off to somebody to take care of him, and the mother's not there for the baby? Could that have anything to stranger making, minimum wage taking care of your kid along with a whole bunch of others? If my mother, may her soul rest in peace, wasn't at home, I would have been dead about 4 times. And that's no joke. I'm cracking my head open and all the other stupid things I've done. So I'm just wondering, these big mental health diseases, are they a result of parents not raising their children and putting them into daycare right after they're born? Huh? Don't send any hate mail. No hate mail. Just my thought. And what else do we have here? L.A. to dismiss 66,000 pot cases. Yeah, the dick-tectives that break people's chops for getting high. As the big criminals keep stealing our money and the names are too big to fail, all the bailouts they give them and all the dirty deals. Nobody goes to jail, they're too big to jail. All the murderers that start these wars that slaughter innocent people. All the crimes from the corporations and the governments, the poisoning of us. And they break your chops for getting high. Disgusting. Disgusting. They're politicians. And what else do we have here? Trump, once a fan of stop and frisk, uses it to cudgel Bloomberg. It works, Trump said back in 2016. It was meant for problems like Chicago. And this little slimer, Bloomberg, he's caught on tape saying, 95% of your murderers, and murder victims fits one MO. You can just take that description, Xerox it, and pass it out to all the cops. They are male minorities, 16 to 25. That's true in New York, and that's true in virtually every city. We put all the cops in minority neighborhoods. Yes, that's true. Why do we do it? Because that's where the crime is. And the way you get the guns out of the kids' hands is to throw them up against the wall and frisk them. Isn't that nice, huh? Yeah, and then you find a joint on them or something else, and you throw them in jail. These are the disgusting people running the country. Not only this country, in a country near you. So this is Gerald Celente. This is some of today's trends in the news. And again, there's a lot more to it than this. We do Trends in the News broadcasts twice a week. We have the Trends Journal weekly magazine, Trend Alerts, the only place in the world where you'll get history before it happens.